in November. So yeah, I'm still getting used to this part. If you all can see my screen, let's start with the formal part of this presentation. When Alicia asked me to speak here, I was surprised because I guess we get so into what we perceive to be normal, that I was surprised that we still needed to have a day like this. When I looked at the stats, I could see that there is still a significant and persistent gender gap in science careers, whether it's science, technology, engineering, mathematics, so all the STEM careers. A shocking only 33% of researchers are women. They are saying that in some countries it's changing. My perception was that it's a lot more than this. Um, but there are a lot of gaps that still persist in digital information technology, computing, physics, maths, engineering careers. There's significant gaps. And if we consider that the female population is 50% of the world's population, or just a little bit more, I think, we are actually losing out on a lot because I don't need to tell this audience, I'm sure, that as women, as girls, we bring so much to the table and our perspectives are so needed. If I think of the healthcare environment where I'm part of, very often women are caretakers of patients. So the perspectives that we bring in that need to be considered in these various careers and these various parts are so important. And as a community, as a country, as a world, we are just losing out if we don't access that potential. So if we still have a gap, then it's necessary for us to have days like this where we can remember, where we can focus on, where we can advocate about having women and girls in science. And I think the way I wanted to approach this day is really just to show people that as women, we go through so many of the same things. We shouldn't feel alone. And when we know that, we should share our experiences because maybe, just maybe, somebody else can learn from it. And maybe we can make these things accessible to our children, to our daughters, to our sisters, to everyone else out there that has something to offer this world. So that's why we still need to do this. And I think that's the most formal part of the presentation that we're going to have. The rest of the time, I hope that we can just have some fun and let it be interactive. And let's just share and let's just learn from each other. Let me start with an introduction. So I am Belinda. Uh, I come from a very, very small place on the east rand of Johannesburg called Gelukstall. So sometimes when I'm in meetings, I still stand amazed that I've been afforded the opportunity to be in certain platforms that I'm part of, and that people are actually listening to what I'm saying. I'm the oldest of three children, and everybody that has been raised in a family knows that being the oldest comes with a certain pressure and a certain responsibility. I was fortunate enough to come from a home with two parents, with books reading, with books available at home, with access to a library. So considering when I was born and considering what was available and the environment that existed in the time, I think I was quite fortunate. I went to school, and I'm sure that for some of you on the line here, um, uh, you will relate to being one of the smart kids. I was certainly told that a lot, and uh, was probably one of the ones that didn't have a boyfriend because who wants to have a girlfriend that's smarter than them? And I went to high school in Boksburg. I was good in maths and science. So I ask myself sometimes if this was really the career that I wanted to be in, because half of the reason why I chose to do a BSc and to go into this field is because everybody told me I was so good in maths and science and that I should be doing this. At some point, I did mention to my mom that I wanted to be a journalist. And my mom, I think at the time, just thought, no, that's crazy. You're not going to do that. But it's been interesting how in my career I've been able to bring communications into my career and match that with the science. Um, I see that Alicia is sharing in the chat. Share your thoughts and tell us what this day means to you. Before we go to drawing you into the conversation as well, um, I went to BITS, and I wanted to tell people that one of the things that I had to get comfortable with very early on is being the first to do things and being the only to do things and to be the only present in a room. But one of the other early lessons that I needed to learn is dealing with failure. I say that because I went to the University of the Witwatersrand after studying in my schooling in Afrikaans and then going to lectures in science in English. The first day I was there, we had a chemistry test, and I think they just wanted to see what we knew. And I got 20% for the test. And for somebody that was used to getting A's in school and used to being the best in everything up to that point, I quickly saw that I was now a small fish in a big pond, and that I needed to learn how to deal with failure. Fortunately for me, I had a mother who taught me from early on that it's not failing that's important, it's getting up after that and pulling yourself together and carrying on and not giving up on your dreams. Currently, after studying at BITS, I went into the pharmaceutical industry. I've had so many various different careers in this industry because I joined the industry in 1998, which will give you an idea of how old I am. And been in the industry for a very long time. My career has spanned sales and marketing. You know, what we do in our industry is we work for companies who discover drugs for unmet needs. I work for Lilly. Lilly was the first company to commercialize insulin after it was discovered 100 years ago and to start selling it in vials. So that's the job that I've done for most of my life. And subsequent to that, I've had opportunities to do project management. I've had opportunities to do corporate affairs and market access. And right now, I work with the IFPMA, who is our industry association. So all our companies belong to this association, and we advocate to create an environment that makes it conducive for our companies to do business. And it's really important because if nowhere like the present, no other time like the present, have we seen the value of the industry because of this industry that we are part of. You know, we've been able to get vaccinations for COVID-19, been able to come up with treatments for COVID-19, and we've been able to, with the use of science, work our way through this pandemic, and hopefully we'll see the end of it very soon. So at IFPMA, I'm part of the African Engagement Committee. I work with them on local production on the continent, working with institutions like the Africa CDC and our members to see how we can be a part of establishing local vaccine production on the continent. I also work with H3D and the H3D Foundation, and one of the things that we're trying to do is to show that we have world-class talent, to show the world that we have world-class talent and skills on the continent, and that can be part of a network where we can really move drug innovation forward, and we show people how H3D has already done it and try to get more support for H3D. So that's a little bit about me. It's quite a mouthful. But before we go on, I wanted to also see who we have on the line with us today, because I don't think it's fair that I'm the only one uh, who is visible on the camera and who people can see. So if you want and if you're comfortable, please switch your camera on just for a couple of minutes or for a minute or so we can see who we have on the line. There's Alicia. Hey, Lauren, I see you. Liesel, Matthew. Oh, there we go. There we go. Hi, everyone. We have approximately 30 or 40 people on the line. I'm so happy to see all of you. I have a couple of questions for you, though. So tell me, do we have anyone on the line by show of hands? Just raise your hand. Who was born in the 70s or early in the 70s? I'm going to raise my hand. Oh, Grant. Anyone else? There's Brian. Hi. I can't see your face at this moment in time, but we do have a couple of people on the line that was born in the 70s or earlier than the 70s. Anyone that was born in the 80s? Yay! Okay, so that's the majority of people, it looks like. Anyone born in the 90s? Ah, hi, Danielle. Anyone else? I can see the names, but it looks like there are a few people that were born in the 90s. Anyone that was born in after 2000? Is there somebody? I want to see so we can know who we're talking to. Okay, it looks like only Tulani. Hi, welcome. You could be my child. um, so tell me where you guys are from. I already told you I'm from the East Rand, a little place called Kalixtal. So put in the chat box where you are from, the city that you are from. I'm going to go into the chat. I want to see where you guys are from. Cape Town. Okay. Oh, there's a fellow East Rand Bitsy also. Hi, Jean. Lady Smith. Nairobi, Polokwane. Henty's Bay, a small coastal town. Oh, yes, that's you, Alicia. Mokopane. Oh, we even have somebody on the line from Italy. A couple of people from Nairobi. Lots of Cape Townians. We have somebody on the line from Kolkata in India. Bundura, north of Harare. Sattenheim in the Eastern Cape. Pretoria, I lived and worked in Pretoria for a long time. Free State, Kwakwa. Joburg. Tell us where you're really from. I also tell people that I'm from Joburg, but I really am not from Joburg. I'm from Brakpan in the East Rand. But anyway, I tell people I'm from Joburg because nobody knows where Brakpan is. Hyderabad in India, Bulawayo in Zimbabwe. Okay, cool. From Soweto, it's still Joburg. I know, I know. I'm going to ask you where in Soweto now. Come forward, so tell us. Doesn't want to say. Oh, Orlando West. Okay. So you come from very close to the famous street in Soweto. Okay, that's so nice. I'm so happy. I see that we have a lot of Cape Townians. We have a lot of people that were born in the 80s, some in the 90s. It's a really, really. Oh, you are from Vilakazi Street. Oh, wow. That's amazing. So, It's really nice to see all of you. So let's get into what I wanted to chat to you about. And really, it's about making sure that we see that we have very similar experiences as women, as people, and what are some of the lessons that we can learn as we try to make this science field or medical field or drug discovery field more accessible for our daughters, for our children, so that we have the inputs in this career. So let me go back to my presentation. Some of the things that I've learned in my career and in my life. So one of the first things, as I say to you, the first day of university, I learned that I am capable of failing. And then I learned after that. So I learned that if at first you don't succeed, this book is called Fix Your Ponytail and Try Again. In my case, it is Fix Your Afro and Try Again. As you can see, I have lots of hair. Well, this is not, I bought it, so it's mine. So at first, at first you don't succeed, fix your ponytail or fix your afro and try again. What I've also learned, and I'm so grateful for the company that I work at, is that failure is such a necessary part of success. So if you fail, right, fail early, fail often, but always fail forward. So I thank my mom for this because she taught me to suck it up when you fail, to pick yourself up and to move on. And then, but take the lessons with you. Take the lessons with you. Failure is nothing to be ashamed of. Failure is what gets you to where you need to be, and failure is what makes you the person that you are, and that is exactly what you can contribute to the world. If you're fortunate enough, like I am, I work in an organization where we encourage you to, as quickly as possible, fail. Try new things, think outside the box. And that's exactly how we get the kind of innovation that we need in this area. When it comes to drug discovery, it's all about meeting unmet needs. It's all about, finding things finding answers to questions that doesn't have answers yet. And you're never going to do that without failing. So it is so important. Sometimes we even ask you to come and do a presentation and tell us about how you fail, because hopefully the next person doesn't have to make the same mistake. Your lessons can be lessons for other people as well. The most important thing is that if you're failing, that you fail forward, that you learn the lessons that you should be learning, and that you take those lessons and that you let it contribute to your success. So if you're gonna fail, pick yourself up and move on, but always fail forward. The other thing that I've learned, and I put this here because this is so significant for me, it's really about how you see yourself. When I was growing up, because you're smart, some people will find you intimidating. It's not the easiest thing to get a boyfriend. So you really have to work on yourself a lot. And sometimes that requires for you to dig deep within yourself and to think about the person you're trying to become, and then to start and to show up as that person from the beginning, whether you are that person or not. It's funny how our brains work, because if you tell me often enough and frequently enough that I'm one thing, I will start believing that. And often we believe the bad things. We believe the bad things so easily. And there's always these two voices in your head fighting. And it's the one that you give power to that's going to win at the end of the day. So if necessary, fake it until you make it. See yourself as that lion in the mirror and show up as that lion. Nobody else knows what's happening underneath the surface. Nobody can see it. And people will believe what you show them. So if you show up as confident, if you show up as the person, you've done the work. So come and show people. It doesn't matter that you're nervous. It doesn't matter that you may not know everything. Present to the people what you really are trying to be. So go ahead, fake it until you make it. No one's going to know. And I promise you, more than half of the room is doing the same thing. Some other lessons is, and that goes with the failing, is we often, particularly as scientists, we want, we have this need for control, we have a need for perfection, but go as you grow. So as you're learning, as you're growing, keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for everything to be 100%. Make a decision with 80% of the information and keep going as you're growing. Keep going as you're growing. And you'll open your eyes sooner or later and you'll see that you actually are what you wanted to become. So keep growing. Keep going as you're growing. What I also learned, and I hope that I wish I could see your faces at this time, because one of the things that you need to be comfortable with in this field, in the choices that you've made, is that you are going to be outstanding, and you need to be comfortable with that. So that often means being comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you will find yourself in situations where you are the only person. You may be the only woman in a certain setting. You may be the only white person in a certain setting, or the only black person in a certain setting. And that will make you so uncomfortable, because we need that commonality very often with people, to do what we need to do, but that's not always necessary. Being comfortable with being outstanding, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Um, uh, what I have found myself in so many times in my life where I have been the first, and I have been the only, pioneering various different environments, various different platforms. And there's a reason why you have been chosen to be that. So be comfortable with that. Learn to be comfortable with that. And you start doing that by being comfortable in your own skin, reaching for that person that you want to be and showing up as that person, and digging really deep and remembering why you are doing with what you're doing, and knowing that you have been pioneering for the ones that come after you. I have found myself in so many situations where I become frustrated. I start acting in a certain way that is unlike me, um, because I'm trying to control everything. And I'm trying to control people's reactions. I'm trying to control everything in that situation. But a huge learning for me is that in any situation, the only thing that you can truly control is yourself. It's your attitude, it's how you show up, uh, it's how you see things, it's how you present yourself to the world. You can't control what other people are going to think of you. You can't control what other people are going to do. You can't control how they're going to feel. They're all adults and people in their own right. So focus on the thing that you have 100% control of, and that is yourself. In any situation, you can only control you. You can only control you. That very often requires for you to become quiet, um, to become silent, to focus on what's happening with you, to breathe, to get control over yourself, so that you can present yourself in a way that you want to present yourself in that moment. Um, one of the questions that I thought of in thinking about this is, as women, We are often lambasted, we are often judged for being emotional. Um, and what I've had to learn is that that becomes the focus of whatever the discussion is, how you are reacting in a moment, how you your emotions, what you are doing, and not the content that you're trying to discuss. But when you realize that you can only control yourself, and you focus on that self mastery, that's when things start changing. That's when things start changing. That's when your message can go out there, because people will no longer focus on your emotions, um, or whatever else that they think you're bringing to the conversation. And you can continue focusing on the content of what you're trying to present. But you need to understand you can only. That being said, it's also important to understand that different perspectives are important. Just because you are not seeing it the way that another person is seeing it doesn't mean that that person is wrong. So be open to the other perspectives. It makes us stronger. Diversity makes us stronger. That's why it's so important to have women in this field. That's why it's important to have girls in this field, because the perspective that we bring is so important because of the unique circumstances, the unique environment, the unique situations and experiences that we go through every day. Everyone has something to offer, and be open to that. Just because somebody doesn't see it your way doesn't mean they're wrong. They just have a different perspective, and be open to that different perspective. At the end of the day, I think what is so important is that you understand what your purpose is. And you find that, I think, by knowing what the things are that bothers you, what are the things that wake you up at 3 in the morning, because it's not the same that wakes me up. So those are the answers that you are here on earth to solve, and that is so tied in with your purpose. It is so tied in with your purpose, and that purpose needs to be greater, mightier, bigger than you. Right now, for me, it is so important that the African perspective is understood in whatever platform I'm on, because it's such a unique perspective. It's so human. We bring things to the table that I find sometimes in the Western world is lacking. We bring a certain care, we bring a certain flair, I think, as well, to the table. We bring a certain color to the table. And it's so important for me to understand that exactly those things that I am is what I'm supposed to show the world. And I believe that is tied to my purpose, because not everyone will be bothered about that. But I am. I am really bothered about people understanding the African perspective, and what we bring to the table, the uniqueness we bring to the table. Um, as I said, this purpose needs to be bigger than you. It needs to be something that you need other people to achieve, because it's something that should stretch you. It's something that should take you places that will make you uncomfortable. But as long as you know who you are and what you're bringing to those situations, you'll get through those things. Um, and you need to find the thing that keeps you going. When I considered what to do as a career, when I was told I am I'm good in math and science, that's probably where I should be going into, and I could see, there are parts that others had not walked before me, uh, and also the time. I told you already, I was born in the 70s, very tumultuous time in our country, in South Africa. And for me, I needed to have something bigger. I needed to have something bigger that is bigger than me, that I could reach for. And I found this so inspiring. I only came across this. It's a song. I've heard various different versions of it. The one that I like most is by Luther Vandross. And this is what I tap into when situations seem impossible, and when I am in those uncomfortable situations. I understand that with this great privileges that we have to be the first, the only, to be in this field of science, that I have a responsibility to improve it and to make it better for those that come behind me. So I reach into things like this, and you need to find what is your thing, your mantra, your thing that you play in your head, um, that keeps you going. And for me, it's this. It's to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, to no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for what's right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for that heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will be peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove for with his last ounce of courage to fight the unbeatable foe and to reach the unreachable star. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us. We've been privileged enough. We already have it in. We already have access to this. At the end of the day, it's about that girl in Bulawayo, or that boy in what is your hometown, Alicia? I can't remember the name now. It's about that boy. It's about those who come after us, and the legacy that we leave for them. And that's why it is important that we have days like this, where we can remember that not everyone still has that opportunity, even if it's 2022. And we need to do whatever we can. And we need to take this responsibility very seriously, because we need to make a path for those that come behind us. So let me stop there and see if there's any questions, any comments um, from those on the line.
Thanks so much, Belinda. That was a wonderful presentation. When I asked you to chat to us today, I certainly